Arlo's Night of Twinkling Stars. Arlo stood on the front porch, his small suitcase in one hand and Barnaby the bunny in the other. Mimi's house was painted a cheerful yellow, but today, Arlo thought it looked a little bit too big. He squeezed Barnaby's soft ear and took a very deep breath. He loved Mimi, but sleeping away from his own bed felt like trying to swim in the middle of the ocean. The door swung open, and there was Mimi, wearing an apron that smelled like peppermint and old books. "Welcome to our big adventure, Arlo," she cried, pulling him into a hug. The hug felt like a warm, thick blanket straight out of the dryer. Arlo let out the breath he'd been holding, feeling his shoulders drop just a little bit. They spent the afternoon in the kitchen, turning the counters into a snowy landscape of flour. Arlo used a star-shaped cutter to make cookies, pressing firmly into the dough. For a while, he forgot to worry about the sun going down. He laughed when Mimi accidentally got a dab of frosting on the tip of her nose. But as the sky turned the color of a grape popsicle, that heavy feeling returned to Arlo's chest. The shadows in the hallway seemed to grow longer and skinnier than they did at his house. He sat by the window, watching the trees turn into dark silhouettes against the purple clouds. He whispered a secret into Barnaby. At dinner, Mimi served backward spaghetti, where the sauce was hidden on the bottom of the bowl. She told funny stories about when Arlo's dad was a little boy and tried to teach a garden frog how to whistle. Arlo giggled so hard that a noodle almost went up his nose, and for a moment, the house felt exactly like home. But then came the pajamas. The guest room felt vast, and the ceiling seemed miles high. The moon peeked through the curtains like a giant glowing eye watching him. Arlo tucked Barnaby under the heavy floral quilt, but the room was too quiet. It didn't have the comforting hum of the fan or the familiar creak of his own floorboards. Suddenly, the door creaked open just a crack. A warm, golden light spilled onto the rug. Mimi walked in, but she wasn't carrying a glass of water or a toothbrush. Instead, she held a long, tangled vine of tiny, glowing stars that pulsed with a soft, amber light. "I almost forgot the most important part," she whispered. Together, they draped the lights over the headboard and along the top of the wardrobe. Then, they sat side by side on the bed, reading a book about a brave mouse who sailed the bathtub seas. The room didn't feel big and scary anymore. It felt like a glowing tent made of magic and stories. Before she kissed him goodnight, Mimi pressed a small, smooth blue stone into Arlo's palm. "This is a pocket hug," she explained. "If you miss home in the middle of the night, just squeeze it. A hug will travel straight from my heart, down the hall, and right into your hand." Arlo squeezed the stone. It was warm from her touch. The next morning, Arlo woke up to the smell of blueberry pancakes and the sound of birds chirping in the garden. The sun was dancing on the walls, and the stars on his headboard were still there, waiting for tonight. He jumped out of bed, holding Barnaby high. He had done it. He realized that Mimi's house wasn't just a place to visit. It was a place where he was always safe.